So we're here right now with, what's your name, sir?
Bob Carney.
And tell us a little about your castle. And you did mention this before I started recording. This is a real castle, not a fantasy castle.
It is. That's what I do and have done for the last 47 years is reproduce real castles in Lego.
And tell us a little about the process. So if you're recreating from real life, you have something to go off of, but what's your process for planning?
Well, the first process is actually seeing a picture of the castle and saying, boy, would I like to make that out of Lego.
Yes.
And then I have to find pictures of it from all sides if possible. And even better and happily much easier since the internet,
Most
I
certainly.
have to find a plan for the castle.
Oh, wow.
So I can then convert it into Lego scale.
So you're going almost to a blueprint scale.
Yes. Well, what I try to do for most of my castles is to make sure that when I'm asleep at night, the minifigures can live happily in it.
Awesome. Yes. So it looks to be, or they look to largely be 1-to-1 scale. Is that the goal with all your castles?
Most, not all, but most. Okay. Yes.
And then when you're deciding what pieces to use, what's your go-to for getting these pieces?
Having done this as long as I have, I pretty much recycle them. So the light gray in Eileen Donan has probably been used a good 100 times in other castles. So it's getting full use.
Sir, most certainly. And so it sounds like, how many castles have you built actually?
184.
184. And so when you go through the life cycle of the castle, it then gets taken down and is essentially retired?
Yes.
Awesome.
Pictures on the internet and then...
conventions like this?
Yes, and then a convention like this, and yeah.
So is this a common occurrence to visit conventions like this?
Actually, BRICKWORLD Chicago is the only convention I do, and we visited it the first year in 2008 and said, wow, what a wonderful experience. I got to bring castles. So in 2009 and since then, except for a couple of years of COVID, we've been back here in first Wheeling and now Schaumburg
Wow.
with one or more castles.
And what was the first year you mentioned?
2009.
2009. Wow. That's awesome. And honestly, so I've been a fan of Lego my whole life, but didn't really know all about the Lego community. And seeing all these people here today and hearing that the conventions like this have been going on since 2009 is awesome to hear.
Yes, it's great fun.
Most certainly. And with this set, do you have an approximate, because at the Lego CPA, which is my YouTube channel, we kind of focus on finance and cost of things and the value. Do you have an estimated cost as to how much this costs you to make?
I would say the value of the Legos probably around $7,000.
Wow. And then do you have how many bricks went into this specific set?
I'm guessing around 40,000.
Wow.
When I count my castles, I do it when I take them apart and then and rebox them, not when I'm building them.
That's probably a better way to go, thinking about it practically.
Much easier, for sure.
And then obviously you would never sell this, but if you were to put a dollar value, because obviously a lot of experience and planning went into this, what kind of dollar value would we put on this?
Okay, well, I can actually answer that question because I have sold 3 of my 184 castles.
Interesting.
All to the same Illinois oil man. And the largest one he bought was my model of Neuschwanstein in 2016, and he paid $16,000 for it.
Wow, that is. And compared to this, what about would the size be?
That was about 60,000, so I would say this is probably $7,000 worth of Lego, but I did make a little profit.
I would certainly hope so. There's a lot of work that went into this. Do you have any preference as to the minifigures you use? It looks like we're going back to 1700s.
The fun thing was that this model is the castle about 300 years ago at a very unusual moment when it happened to be occupied mostly by 50 Spanish Marines.
They did look Spaniard.
Who were part of the revolt that was going on against the parliamentarians by the royalists at that time. And so I got to not only combine my Scottish people with bagpipes, etc., with a number of Spanish mercenaries. So it was kind of a fun meld of minifigures.
That is certainly a cool mix. And so this castle itself, I know we talked a little bit before. It's off the coast of Scotland. Do you what other castles? Obviously, castles are generally European or British, like so. Are there any other castles or types of castles you've built?
Of the 184, about 40 of them are Scottish, 20 odd Welsh and English. My current castle, this is my 183rd. The one that's at home unphotographed is in Croatia.
Interesting.
So I have a number. I built one castle that's in Israel. Any place they have medieval castles, I'm game.
That's awesome. And do you have your sights set on the next castle?
Actually, I do not. My website suggests that I have a plan in mind, but it's subject to being retyped and changed at a given moment. So.
And what's your website for the viewers?
www.carneycastle.com.
Awesome. Love to see all the different builds. And are you a part of a Lego user group by chance?
I wish I was, but down in Decatur, I'm the only person who does this sort of thing so far as I know.
Awesome.
So, yeah, unfortunately not.
So I won't ask you how old you are. I'll be respectful, but I will ask you how.
80.
I was just say I'll ask you how long you've been into Lego.
Yeah, since they came out, we got our first Lego set around 1970 when our first son was approaching kindergarten age, and Lego had just arrived in America.
Wow.
Fortunately, all three of our children eventually left home, and they left their Lego with me. So I got a good start. Thank you for my
had nothing else to do without the kids home, so might as well build some Lego.
Right.
That's awesome. I love hearing the history, and not too many of the older generation, we could say, are into Lego as much, it seems, but it's awesome to see people like you doing super unique builds like this.
Well, the nice thing is that my wife says she doesn't see any more of me now than she did when I was working, so it works
It balances out
for our marriage.
Yeah. And I myself, I'm engaged to be married this fall, and
Congratulations.
thank you very much. And I'll have to, my fiance, very much apprised to my Lego habits, and
good.
so I think I'll have to find a way to work out. Maybe I'll reach out to you for any tips.
Okay, sure. Anytime.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.